welcome to the Shadow Court. Today I begin the first installment of my new series, Atrocious Films. And because, obviously, my life doesn't suck enough as it is, I have to review Highlander The Source. But before I actually talk to you about The Source, I want you to take a look at the DVD case. Take a look at this. Now, what this implies is that what's on the inside of this case is an entertaining film well worth your hard-earned money and time you're going to invest in watching it, when in fact the case should have looked like this. There's nothing in that case, and there's nothing in this film. This film stars Adrian Paul, reprising his role from the television series as Duncan MacLeod, kinsman of Connor MacLeod, the star of the original 1986 Highlander film. Peter Winfield also reprises his role from the television series as Mythos, the oldest living immortal dating back over 5,000 years. And last but certainly not least, Jim Burns also returns from the series and reprises his role as Watcher Joe Dawson, part of a secret society of men and women who observe and record the lives of immortals but do nothing to interfere. They're essentially historians who want the truth about immortals to be preserved for the future to learn about. The film's plot begins set in the near future in Eastern Europe. The world has descended into chaos, and a group of immortals comprised of Mythos, Duncan MacLeod, and some others begin a quest for the holy grail of their world, the source of their immortality. Although why the world is in a state of chaos, I don't know, because nothing in the last film indicated that the world was going in this direction. Why they really need to find the source to begin with, I don't know, apart from the boring and cheesy I had visions kind of thing, and how finding the source is supposed to help the world, I really don't know either. And what the source even is, I don't know either, because no one ever really explains anything too well, but I shouldn't really be surprised. After all, I mean, the writers for this film were obviously being paid minimum wage. So as you can obviously see, the plot is the first problem with this film. It's pretty weak and there's not a lot to it. The second problem of this film is the setting. It's set in the near future. Now, I seem to recall that there was one other Highlander film who attempted this, and it was Highlander 2, The Quickening. And to put it kindly, that film was a colossal failure. But you see, you think they would have learned their lesson, but no, they still set the film in the future, which is a really terrible idea if you ask me. So, we've got a bad plot and a bad setting. Those are the first two problems that really start to pull this film down, and the third problem for me was really kind of a surprise. The characters. Now, Adrian Paul, Peter Winfield, and Jim Burns from the television series all showed in the series that they enjoyed playing their characters, they understood their characters, and they were able to bring multiple dimensions to their characters and bring them to life. But for some reason in this film, they never deliver anything above a mediocre performance, which was very disappointing for me because I know these people can act when they want to. And I suspect the reason why they really didn't act is because they probably actually read the script. No, Mr. Lambert, there's nothing funny about this. That's okay. I'm sure you're just really happy that you managed to get out of this series while you could. Isn't that right? Moving on to the fourth problem in this film. The villain. Now, one thing the Highlander series has never really been able to accomplish after the first film was to create a villain as memorable and luminary as the Kurgan. Clancy Brown played this character flawlessly. He was a raging, psychotic, out-of-control lunatic. He was intimidating, scary, and funny at the same time. Every scene he was in, he ate it up, and if there is a top 100 list for greatest movie villains, he deserves to be in the top 20, because he was just that good. End of story. Now, all of the Highlander sequels have had pretty lame villains. On the other hand, the television series has managed to create quite a few interesting ones, the top of which include Xavier St. Cloud, Callus, and Kronos. These characters were all fun and interesting and very good in their own way, but they never quite was able to equal the Kurgan's level of awesome. But without a doubt, the worst Highlander villain that I've ever seen, and probably one of the worst movie villains that I've ever seen in my entire life, is this guy, the Guardian. I don't even know what to say about this guy. Where did they find this loser? I mean, who thought having a guy in bondage gear that looks like he's straight out of some underground S&M porno video would be an intimidating idea for a villain? This guy is not threatening, he's not scary, he's not funny, he's just irritating and stupid. He ruins every scene that he's in with bad dialogue, and he zips around the screen like he's on crack. And even the scenes he's not in, he casts a dark shadow over because you're always dreading when he's going to pop up again. This guy really, really hurt this film. So we've got a bad plot, a bad setting, mediocre acting, and a terrible, terrible, terrible villain. The next problem of this film is another one that surprised me. It was actually the fight scenes. Now, like I said, this is very surprising because if Highlander was never anything else to the mass audience, it was a great sword fighting series, right? But in this film, that's not really the case because the fight scenes are either poorly choreographed, poorly filmed, poorly edited, or overly stylized. And in some cases, all of those at the same time, like this fight scene with the Guardian and Duncan. Take a look at this.
Feel that beat. Is that power. It's a sword. The sword is intoxicating, isn't it?
I'm not even going to comment on that. And the biggest problem above everything I stated already is just the fact that this film just does not feel like a Highlander movie. What made the Highlander series great wasn't the sword fighting, it was the characters, it was the fact that they were immortal, it was the journeys they've made through life, the battles they've fought, the people that they've known, the things they've seen, about the joys and the sorrows of being immortal, about living forever, knowing everyone around you that you care about is going to die and you're not. Things like that is what made the series and the first film special, and that's what this film is missing. It has no heart, it has no soul, it's just terrible all the way around.
There can be only one.
And this film isn't it. Highlander The Source gets a 0 out of 5, my lowest recommendation, and may it rot in hell. You know, somehow, I'm not even surprised.